They always said she was too quiet to fight back. Asterisk. The rumor started in the second week of 9th grade, something about how Amara was too timid to even look a person in the eye, much less defend herself. It was the kind of lie that grew legs and sprinted through the hallways of Maple Creek High until it wrapped itself around her like a thorny vine she couldn't shake. And most days, she didn't try. She kept her head down, her long black hair coiled neatly in the same bun she'd worn since she was 12, and her voice tucked away behind her ribcage. Asterisk. That morning, it was raining so hard the gutters overflowed, and the cafeteria smelled like wet jeans and tater tots. Amara sat alone by the window, notebook open in front of her, sketching tiny origami cranes she dreamed of folding someday. She pressed her pencil harder into the paper whenever the voices drew near, the ones that always knew how to find her, no matter how early she slipped in or how far she tried to hide. Asterisk. Hey, mute Mara. The voice belonged to Kelsey, who never I'd bothered to lower it. You drop your courage again, or did you just forget you were supposed to speak today? Asterisk. The girls with her giggled. A second voice piped up, Tammy, whose freckles and sweet-looking face hid the coldness in her words. No, she's too busy making imaginary friends in that stupid sketchbook. Asterisk. Amara didn't look up. She traced another crane wing and hoped they would just grow bored. But Kelsey stepped closer. Wet sneakers squeaked against the linoleum. Asterisk. Earth too shy girl. A palm smacked at the table. I'm talking to you. Asterisk. Amara's stomach tightened. She felt the heat in her throat, the same ache she always felt when she wanted to shout or run, but her body turned heavy instead. She stared harder at her drawing. Asterisk. Kelsey reached down. For a moment she thought the girl might snatch the pencil. Instead, she grabbed Amara's bun fingers, yanking it so hard her scalp screamed. The world fractured. A gasp tore itself from Amara's chest. A dozen heads turned. Kelsey's hand twisted deeper in her hair, like she was trying to rip it straight from her skull. Asterisk. You look at me when I'm asterisk. And something broke loose inside Amara. Asterisk. Later, she wouldn't remember making a decision, only the way her body knew exactly what to do. She shifted her weight, hooked her arm under Kelsey's elbow, and with a sharp exhale she pulled forward. Kelsey's shriek cut through the cafeteria like a siren. In one motion, Amara pivoted on the ball of her foot and threw Kelsey over her shoulder. It didn't feel real. It felt like a film she'd seen once, like watching someone else's hands uncoil the fist in her hair and let it fall back against her neck. Like hearing the wind rush in her ears as Kelsey landed hard on her back, eyes wide and stunned. For a moment, no one spoke. Then someone screamed. Chairs skidded. Kelsey lay on the floor, clutching her shoulder in disbelief. Amara stood over her chest, heaving, the taste of adrenaline metallic on her tongue. Asterisk. Tammy swore under her breath. Holy crap, she's a psycho. Asterisk. A teacher rushed in. Mr. Feldman, the history teacher who usually walked with the slow shuffle of someone who'd been grading essays for 20 years. Today he moved like he'd remembered what urgency felt like. Asterisk. What is going on here? His voice boomed across the cafeteria. Asterisk. Kelsey's eyes brimmed with angry tears. She attacked me. Asterisk. Amara's voice was thin but steady. Astonishing. Even herself. She pulled my hair. The other girls started shouting over each other. She just flipped her. Asterisk. She went crazy. Asterisk. No. Kelsey started it. Asterisk. Amara watched their mouths move. Part of her wanted to fold in on herself, to vanish. But another part, the part she'd never trusted before, kept her spine straight. Asterisk. Mr. Feldman took in the scene. Kelsey still on the floor. The other girls fidgeting. The entire cafeteria holding its breath. He exhaled slowly. Asterisk. All of you. My classroom. Now. Asterisk. They shuffled out, a trail of whispers following them. As Amara walked, she tried to focus on the rain, tapping the windows, anything to drown out her pounding heart. But the image replayed over and over, the shock in Kelsey's face, the sudden emptiness in her hand when Amara broke free. Asterisk. In the hallway, Mr. Feldman paused. His eyes rested on Amara, not unkindly. Asterisk. Self-defense. She nodded. His gaze shifted to Kelsey, who looked like she wanted the floor to swallow her whole. We'll sort this out, he said, his tone final. Asterisk. When they reached his classroom, he sat them down, and the story came out in fits and starts. Tammy trying to downplay Kelsey's aggression. Kelsey insisting she'd just tugged a little. Amara recounting it in a voice she barely recognized as her own. In the end, Mr. Feldman called the vice principal, who called all their parents. It was the longest hour of Amara's life. By the time her mother arrived, Amara felt wrung out and hollow. She braced for disappointment or anger. But when her mother stepped into the room and saw her daughter's red eyes and the trembling hands in her lap, she only pulled up a chair and held her hand. Asterisk. Are you hurt? She asked softly. Amara shook her head. Did you try to tell them to stop? Asterisk. Yes. Asterisk. Then, I'm proud of you. Asterisk. It was the last thing she expected to hear, and it undid her. Tears spilled and her mother folded her into an embrace that it felt safer than anything had in months. Asterisk, the vice principal gave Kelsey a week of suspension and mandatory counseling. Amara was asked to attend a mediation session, though she sensed it was more to cover the school's liability than anything. But none of that mattered as much as the way people looked at her afterward. Asterisk, at first, it was shock. The rumors grew, even faster now, stories of how she'd been secretly training in martial arts for years, how she could take down anyone twice her size. None of it was true. All she knew was a single self-defense seminar her cousin had dragged her to last summer, one afternoon of practice that had somehow saved her when everything else failed. Asterisk, by Friday, the whispers softened. Some kids started nodding at her in the hallways. A few even sat with her at lunch, offering quiet respect she wasn't sure how to return. It felt like standing on the edge of something she'd never thought she'd find possibility. That weekend, her mother took her out for ice cream. They sat in the little shop with its peeling yellow booths, the neon open sign buzzing overhead. Amara picked at her sundae, struggling to put the week into words. Asterisk, I didn't mean to hurt her, she said finally. Asterisk, I know, her mother replied, but you meant to protect yourself. Asterisk, Amara swallowed. Is that bad? Asterisk, no, her mother said gently, it's brave. The next Monday she wore her hair in the same bun, but it felt different now, like a choice, not a shield. As she walked through the main doors, she caught Kelsey's eye near the lockers. Kelsey looked away first. It wasn't triumph Amara felt, just relief. Asterisk, halfway to her homeroom, a hand tapped her shoulder. She turned to see a boy from her art elective, Eli, with his paint-stained hoodie and the nervous smile he always wore. Asterisk, hey, he said, rubbing the back of his neck. I saw what happened last week. Amara waited, I think. It was good, he said finally. What you did? I mean, if someone grabbed me like that, I'd probably just freeze. Asterisk, she almost laughed. I thought I would too. Asterisk, do you want to maybe sit with us at lunch? He asked. It doesn't have to be a big deal. Asterisk, for a moment, she couldn't answer. Her first instinct was to decline, to retreat to her familiar table by the window. But she remembered the way her heart had steadied when she stood up for herself, how it felt to take up space she'd been told wasn't hers. Asterisk, yeah, she said, I'd like that. Asterisk, at lunch, she sat with Eli and two other classmates. They talked about their favorite movies, about the art projects that were due next week, and when someone asked about the fight, Amara told them only what mattered. Asterisk, she pulled my hair. I defended myself. Asterisk, they nodded. No one pressed for details. Asterisk, for the first time, she realized she wasn't invisible anymore. And maybe that was okay. Over the next month, things didn't magically become easy. Kelsey returned from her suspension quieter but still surrounded by the same friends. The tension in the halls never fully disappeared, but something fundamental had shifted. The girls didn't try to grab her again, and the world didn't end. When she raised her voice, asterisk, she joined the after-school art club. She started folding cranes out of colored paper, leaving them in the library with little notes that said, "You matter and be kind." Eli helped her make them, and sometimes they sat together in companionable silence, the hum of the copy machine filling the gaps. Asterisk, one afternoon, she came home to find her mother waiting with a package of crisp new sketchbook and a note that simply said, "For all the things you're brave enough to create." Asterisk, that night, she filled the first page with a drawing of a girl standing in the rain, hair unbound, eyes lifted to the storm. Asterisk, and in that moment, Amara knew she didn't have to disappear to be safe. Asterisk, she could be shy and strong, she could be gentle and fierce, she could be the quiet girl who learned how to roar when it mattered. Asterisk, and she would never again believe the lie that her silence was weakness. When the school year ended, Amara left Maple Creek High, a little taller, her hair no longer a shield but a part of her she no longer hid behind. Asterisk, people still told stories how she flipped the bully over her shoulder, how she faced them without flinching. Some of it was exaggerated. Most of it was incomplete, because the truth was simpler than any rumor. One day a girl who thought she was powerless learned she wasn't. Asterisk, and that knowledge was something no one could ever take from her again.